Here at Behind the Mask, we acknowledge that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are the original storytellers and custodians of the land on which we live and meet today. Behind the Mask is a podcast about sharing authentic stories. And in continuing that legacy of storytelling, we acknowledge that we're honouring and celebrating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' traditions, customs and stories. And we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
I went through the show, I got pulled aside by the pastor and he said, you need to either leave the show or you're no longer allowed to be part of this fellowship.
So leave the show or leave the church?
Yep, that was what I was told.
Wow.
Yeah.
People at school, belittling me for singing. People at,
You got belittled for singing?
Well, yeah, people hated me singing in primary school. They were like, shush.
Definitely fell into a bit of a dark place. Not because I wasn't no longer with a label. It was more, how do I navigate this now?
I was losing my voice. Even just going out for dinner with mates, I was sort of feeling this tension, and then I'd have to really rest, go home, and I was like, this is so weird. Every gig I was doing, completely lose my voice afterwards. Like, I was struggling to even sing the last few songs. Even like my gigs last year, a few of them I'd say, sorry guys, I've just lost my voice, and it started to get really serious.
I'm Josh Pitman. I'm a singer, actor and certified meditation teacher. I've played many roles in my life, both on and off stage, and I've worn many masks. But I've always had a curiosity for what's happening behind those masks, behind identity and the ego. I want to explore the real stories beyond the bright lights of people's journeys and get a VIP pass to the backstage tour of their lives. In this new podcast series, you'll get to know some of the most extraordinary and inspiring people behind the masks that they wear. It's an opportunity for them to share their authentic stories, their successes, sacrifices, hurdles, triumphs, fears, motivations, insecurities, and passions, as well as their self-discoveries, philosophical or spiritual awakenings, the growth mindset tools they've used, and the wisdoms and lessons they've learnt to navigate their way through life with purpose and meaning. It's time to be inspired by the depths of what it means to feel truly human. It's time to go behind the mask. I'm joined by two exceptionally gifted artists. Bonnie Henderson is a singer-songwriter who won Australia's Got Talent at the ripe old age of 12. She's then gone on to star on Neighbours. She's a presenter on Channel 9's Postcards. And in 2020, she won the hit TV singing contest, The Masked Singer. The irony of that is, of course, not lost on me. And Taylor Henderson is also a singer-songwriter who came fourth on Australia's Got Talent in 2010. He backed that up with a second place on the X Factor 3 years later. His platinum-selling self-titled debut album went to number 1 on the ARIA charts, and he backed that up with his second album, Burnt Letters, which also went to number 1 on the ARIAs. Welcome, Bonnie Anderson and Taylor Henderson.
Hey,
how are you,
what
mate?
an intro.
I know.
Hey, thanks. Well, it's your lives. You guys are the one who did it.
Hey, yeah, that's right.
That
I
happened.
did that.
That happened. I was
You
on the
did
Mask
that.
Singer. You did that. Hey, so we're going to do what we always do on Behind the Mask podcast, which is to deep dive straight away.
All right.
So when you take off the mask of all those things I just mentioned, all those achievements, all those successes in your careers, and let go of all those things, who's left? Who's behind the mask of Bonnie Anderson and Taylor Henderson?
Whew.
Deep question.
Deep dive down that slide.
There's so many things. Who's going to go first?
Oh, I think you got the mic.
Oh, I'm going.
You go.
Go for it.
Oh, you know what? I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'm a mum. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm all these things. There's so many things that I do when I'm not on stage. And at the moment, I guess it's very much so me being a mum. That's like the new craziest thing I've ever done. It's just like a whole new world of learning, just growing with my son, seeing the world for the first time again through his eyes.
And what are you seeing? How are you seeing it? How's it different?
It's just like I'm so much more grateful. I don't know. It's just, this craziest thing is like looking at, watching him walk for the first time and watching him fall over and cry and laugh and giggle and say mum for the first time. It's just like you appreciate these things so much more. It's the craziest thing, and it kind of makes me look back to, when I was a kid and watching my mum and dad as parents, and you go, wow, it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig in juggling life, juggling being a parent, and then juggling your career as well. It's amazing. It's so special.
So Bobby Ray, who's your almost 18-month-old son,
Bobby, what a cool name.
So
Bobby,
good.
it's so sick.
Sounds like a country singer.
Right?
Bobby
Ray. I think you get that from what's his name, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray,
It's really in there.
So he's walking and starting with some mamas and dadas. But how has he changed your values or your perspective or your priorities? How is saying you feel like behind the mask is this mum?
Yeah.
How has it shifted how you enter into the world of your career?
It's what he's actually given me. Before I had a child, I didn't know what to expect. It was like, what is this? What does this mean? What's it going to mean for me? Am I going to be able to still be on stage? Am I going to be able to cope with this? And to be honest, when I became a mum, it was like, oh, wow, this child has given me more than I can have ever imagined to live for, to strive for. Like, for example, I haven't put out music for a very, very long time. I mean, I was trying different avenues and I was just going through certain things. But for me, when I had Bobby, it was like this fire lit up inside of me and I was just like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to be a mum. I'm here to be all these things and to sing.
Yeah.
For my voice to be heard. And I think I kind of forgot that for a long time. But just to be like the best version of myself.
Him like belting through his cries and just screaming so loud. Like,
I got to sing
I want to do more of that.
Yeah, it's just and being healthy as well. Like just seeing things differently. I guess I probably took advantage of a lot of things like my body, my mind, all these things before having him. But being a mum now is like, okay, this is what's important. And living longer, living more present, being more present, just so many little things that you probably took advantage of pre being a parent.
And is it just enough to have Bobby Ray in your life that brings presence, or or brings that gratitude, or are you actively sort of thinking about
always?
Yeah.
He definitely is the main reason reminder.
Yeah.
But always just, I think I have taken a different look on life. Like I'm always just trying to challenge myself, just as I said, like with fitness and things like that. I mean, I've always been interested in that, but now I'm like, right, let's just be healthy. Let's just be present.
Like the best version of you to show up for him in the best way you can.
Totally.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Taylor,
your turn.
Who's behind that mask?
I've just been listening to all this, so it's amazing. But it's just interesting though, because like I don't have a kid, right? I don't have a partner. But my sister has got a little girl. Her name's River.
I thought you were trying to like doing a little dating ad.
No.
Yeah,
guys, I'm single. Available. No. No, I'm just thinking
I
like
live in the G-town and I like long walks barefoot along the
okay, fine. No, but I guess I'm a very family orientated guy. So so I'm just listening to everything you're saying, and I've seen just being an uncle for the first time and seeing my sister go through all these things you're talking about. When we take off the mask of like what's left? Who are we? And it's such a complicated question. Like there's so many things that I mean, at the core of it, like really, if music is pushed to the side, if that's what you're asking, I don't know. I think I'm really there's just a guy who generally just really wants to provide value to people. He wants to be good. Along comes his challenges and there's all sorts of things that I'm trying to work through, I'm trying to navigate. We all, the veil of adolescence falls for all of us at different times, So like, I think I've been pretty lucky in my career where I was just a kid that had no idea how the world operated. Like I was 20 years old when I got signed. And it's just like Like, how old are you, Josh?
I'm 38.
Are you 38?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you look good.
Thanks, guys.
That's
Thanks, guys.
crazy.
For anyone watching.
Jeez.
Damn,
yeah,
boy.
far out.
I actually have done nothing to warrant this other than have great genetics.
That's
Like, my
great.
parents are in their
Oh my
70s and they
gosh.
look
Wow.
fantastic.
Yes.
My mum's going to
Oh.
shoot me for saying she's in her 70s, but she looks so hot for someone in her 70s. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Wow,
it.
that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Now I've lost what I'm thinking about because all I'm thinking
You're
about
talking
is.
about the veil. You're talking about dropping the veil of adolescence
yeah.
and getting signed at 20.
But yeah, so like I think because I was so young when that happened, and I was just a guy that, you know, I played a bit of guitar at home, I sang a little bit. That's all it really was. I loved it, but it never was going to be a career option for me. It was kind of like a little bit unrealistic.
Really?
You know,
Why did you feel that?
Wow.
I was just how I was brought up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't really. It just wasn't something that was on the cards ever as a kid. I was brought up in a very interesting upbringing. So like, it was.
In what way was it interesting?
I was brought up in I was brought up in a very strict religious upbringing.
Okay.
So I guess when it came to doing anything that was crafty of the arts, that was considered, I guess, worldly.
What religion was it?
It was a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
Wow, we're diving
digging deep.
Yeah, I love how Bonnie the whole time said, "Oh, it's beautiful." You know,
Hey, there's some deep stuff too. It's coming.
Here I am just sharing like the
goodness.
yeah. But anyway, so it's yeah, it was a beautiful upbringing,
Yeah.
but it's all I really knew. And in the walls of that church, I guess anything outside of that was considered, you know, how do you put this? But it just wasn't. You know, it wasn't welcomed. Was it welcomed? And falling into a career of music was always going to be it just wasn't an option. It just, you know, so it was just something I did at home.
Was it like you weren't allowed to do it, or is it just or shunned, or is it like?
Oh no, like for example, like you would sing and you would, you know, the church itself that I used to be a part of was like, it was. You know, they obviously would sing and they would praise, you know, that I guess when it came to following it as a career and making money out of it, I guess it would, you know, in places like that, they really just want to protect you. They don't want, they're worried if you do that, it's going to lead to, you know, this and that, you know, sex, drugs, alcohol, like that's what they're worried about.
Yeah.
So I guess like if I, you know, had to take away, you know, to answer your question, if I had to take away what it is and what's left is, you know, I was just a boy that grew up in church, and when music came along, I guess my career started at such an interesting time because it sort of started at the top. When I released my first ever song, it was number one, and
Huge.
then when I released my next single, that was number one. I released my next album, that was just number one. Like I don't
it's
know.
like
I'm just
dealing with success can be as challenging as dealing with adversity and failure.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not joking. This is like Bonnie and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time when I met Bonnie at Sony, and I'm just like, you don't know this, but my family, like we all love music. We're obsessed with Bonnie. All right, she's got the best voice
Epic
ever.
voice, right?
Like my
man.
sister, like she'll just constantly sending me like if Bonnie puts something up, because check Bonnie's Instagram right now. Like check
I'm
it.
the same with you.
Oh,
Like
get out of it.
before you got here, honestly, I just said how is his voice? Like it's
so
amazing.
Good. So good. Both of
She's
you,
too
like,
nice. She's too nice.
So
But
good.
She's too nice. But generally, that's what our, you know, we just would geek over music and people singing, and because it was never going to be something for us in the way we grew up. And then, like, I remember seeing Bonnie, and I'm standing there, and I'm signed to a label, and I'm like, "That's Bonnie Henderson." Like, you don't, and I know.
And you were
I was
signed.
a
You were
baby.
signed to Sony as
So,
well.
Tay and I had very similar stories, I guess, from the sense of being signed at a young age. I was
Off the
about
back of the singing contest TV show
yeah,
situation.
mine was a little
She
different.
won hers. I don't really, you know.
You came runners up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, man.
you know.
Hey, we're winners. Winners are grinners. No, mine was a little different. I was 12 when I was on the show, and I didn't sign until I was 16. So I knocked back all of that stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you went on the show, won the show, and then
Yeah.
you decided, no, I'm just going to.
I was just too young. I think it
You don't
sounds
want to be
mature.
like Charlotte Church or that sort of. Oh, didn't she win something?
It just came at a really strange time. The whole purpose of me going on that show was purely to have fun. Like my parents were like, go on and have fun. And someone kind of poached me, and it was the beginning of something. You know, I was just a singer like you, like loved singing. Yeah, I like dreamt of being a famous singer or whatever, but it was just for fun at that age. How can you release, especially the sort of singing I was doing? You know, I was sort of singing like big soulful music, and I don't know if people were going to buy a 12-year-old's album that's full of soul music, you know, which is kind of ironic because
there's something niche about it or something novel about it, but like actually really delving into a 12-year-old artist who hasn't lived.
Hasn't lived. That's right. I had an experience. So
you've got no fear. There's no fear. Like
which can be an amazing thing.
For me, you're completely different. I was riddled with anxiety when I went on the show.
You were a teenager. You were in that moment of being like, oh my. But I was also because actually you're right. When I was on that show, I had no idea what the cameras and lights were. It was like,
just that
how
ignorant bliss.
Except there was a moment when Red Simons was a judge for you, right? Was he? Or was it Kyle?
No, because I've been on so many shows now. It's crazy to keep up with the judges. But I had Kyle Sandilands. No. Hang on, did I? Yeah, I had Kyle.
Yeah,
I had Kyle on Australia's Got Talent.
Yes.
And I had Brian McFadden. And Danny Minogue.
I had Danny.
Yeah.
I had Tom Bellinson and Red Simons, and he did the buzzer, the big red buzzer. And I heard this. It was so scary as a little girl. I was kind of like,
that the, you're going to Sydney. Buzzer?
No, this is
the you're out.
In the middle of me singing, and I think I was singing like, listen to the song here in my heart. That song, and I was like in the middle of it, and he's like,
I know.
Yeah, that is a grab.
I know.
And it was like all of a sudden, it was this fear of just being like rejected as a young girl. I think you're just so happy to be there, and it was like, hang on a minute, I'm actually on a show, and someone didn't like what I'm doing, and it was like,
and there's a reality.
Oh
to
my
it.
gosh! Yeah. And it was just this overwhelming sensation. I bawled my eyes out the whole time because it was just so. People were booing in the crowd. I think it was just the energy that came over me.
It's really overwhelming.
Whoa,
as a young girl, like booing because
not because you sang terribly.
No,
No, but
I just think as a young, kid going through all these things and learning, like both of us, that's what I mean. Like we both went through these moments and being signed as a young person, and I felt so confused the whole time. I was like, I don't even know what kind of artist I am. I mean, you kind of maybe knew, I don't know what your story is, but for me, I was like so confused. I was being dragged in all these directions, and I had people that I looked up to with the label or management or, and I was just like looking for an answer.
And you couldn't find it.
And I could never find it.
Well, you were so young. On those singing contests, because it's sort of what it is. Is it really just that? I've never gone on a show, and I have a multitude of reasons for that. But I've always wondered, like, how real is it in terms of reality TV? How produced is it? How contrived is it? How much is it about your backstory?
Totally.
And is it enjoyable? Is it actually joyous and celebratory as they make it feel? Or is there just a whole lot of fear like you were talking about and anxiety with it? Like, what is it actually like being on one of those shows?
Well, it's an interesting question because at the time, everyone's going to be different in each scenario.
Yeah.
So, it's funny when you're saying like your experience was, your folks like, just go and have fun.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Like that probably wasn't mine.
Yeah,
I only probably on the first show I went on, which was Australia's Got Talent.
And that was with your dad?
With my old man.
Yeah.
So I went on with my old man as a duo. But the thing is like, to kind of circle back, I was still in a church that this
was your dad in the church obviously as well?
So, no, my dad and my family and everyone had parted ways a little while ago.
Right.
So it was a real conflict for me at the time because I was born to this church. And then, when you see your loved ones and your family not there anymore,
wow.
You're kind of a little bit at war with yourself because I'd go every week with my grandma. She'd pick me up, or we'd go and, I'd just go every week because that's just what I did every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think when music came along, I had an opportunity, which was this show, which, by the way, me and my dad, like we were so naive. Like we didn't even realize it was televised. Like we're so stupid. Like we just thought it was like a singing
guys
competition.
2 peas in a
We're
pod.
it was terrible. Like what are we doing? And then we find out we get there's cameras and stuff, and we're just like, I don't think, Mum said we're signed you up to some talent. You got to do it. You got to do it. And we just, went there and like, what the hell is going on? Like we had no idea what to expect. So we we're a little naive, but humbly,
it's sort of like a great Australian
I don't know.
story in that it's like that real no tall poppy, no tickets on yourself.
Yeah, because like when we got there, we're just waiting in a line, like just waiting to audition, and then before you know it, like I know it's so different. When I speak to anyone who's been on a show recently, it's like they've been scouted or they've been found, or you send in digital.
Years and years. We go on The Voice this year. We go on The Voice this year, and I just every time I said no, so it feels. That's why I'm like, it feels really contrived, but yours sounds really authentic.
Well, mine was because it's 2010, right?
Yeah.
I might not be as distinguished and at 38, but I'm 31, so I've got a little bit of age on me.
Hey, I'm 30 this year too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Far out.
Not yet.
You don't look 30. You got nothing to worry about. So yeah, both of you guys are fine.
I've got so many.
Mate, you're doing great.
But yeah, I guess it was a very natural kind of, I waited in line and went for it. But then I guess when I went through the show, I got pulled aside by the pastor, and he said, he basically gave me you either need to leave, or you need to either leave the show, or you're no longer allowed to be part of this fellowship.
So leave the show or leave the church.
Yep, that was what I was told.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting.
That sound like a supportive environment.
It doesn't sound like a supportive environment.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's a tough one I can understand why you would think that, because in every aspect, yes, you're right.
It sounds like there's a lot of fear in that. There's not a lot of trust in, your ability to go, I do have values that I uphold within this church, or,
Yeah, correct.
But I also trust myself to go out there and share my unique gift with the world, and the two can coexist. Like this is, that's a lot of fear.
It is,
from
and in a
pastor.
place like that, you kind of you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a combination of hit and nail. I'm so sorry.
I like it.
But
Hit those nails.
it was they definitely would they would sort of preach, I guess, they'd put the fear of God into you as opposed to the love of God.
Yeah.
So I guess, not to try and talk so much about everything I grew up with, but basically all I'm trying to say is when it comes to my music and being on that show, your experience, if your folks were like, just go and have a good time, like this was something that once I realized how big it was and the ads were going on and the amount of money that's like, I was so close to not doing it.
Really?
Wow.
So the fear wasn't.
It wasn't like, sweet, I've got a chance here to. It was like, I've been born to this. My dad had been born into his dad was an elder. It was like this was really against the grain of so many just things that I'd been taught,
Indoctrinated into belief.
Yeah.
So,
That's what you knew.
Yeah.
And so you had to sort of the fear. Like I thought when you said fear, it was like fear of getting up and singing in front of all these people. It sounds like it's the fear of
doing something wrong.
Yeah, doing something wrong, and of maybe transitioning into a new version of yourself, a new world, and you're like,
True. I don't, man. When I then went on X Factor a couple of years later. So when I was 20, I'd only been out of the church a couple of years, and
so ultimately, you made that decision.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I got told to leave for singing, so I didn't really. It was hard for me to make decision because I.
That
I guess,
sometimes I get hit with things on this show where I go, that just really.
Oh, really?
Upsets me that you go. Ultimately, you're told to leave something that you love because you love something else.
Yeah, it's hard.
That can and should coexist.
Yeah, maybe I haven't thought about this too much.
Whoa.
It's like,
because if you say if they both come from love,
yeah,
it's love for God, love for music. Like the core of that is love.
I know. I guess like there's so many things to it. Like they would say, it's being in this career is basically a form of idolization. It's like you shouldn't be doing that. You should be almost you should be putting it. There's so many things, but I totally hear. Like it's funny when you're born into it and that's all you know. Until you speak to anyone else who's lived that life in a pretty strict Pentecostal church, like people just go, oh yeah, I know what you mean. It's not. It's almost like we brush it off. It's like yeah, I get you, but it's not like when I explain this to people, they have this whoa, and it's kind of like, oh, that's just all I knew. Like if I was to express what my childhood was like, it was a very loving.
Yeah.
Your conscience is kicked in early because you're constantly fed that this is why you're here. This is why you're part of the church. It's like, so your conscience is kicked in early. You're aware or you feel certain emotions earlier on. You're kind of a little bit more, that's kind of like, did you ever have any issue of this, like becoming a musician or something, like going on, was there anything stopping you, or were you just like, yeah, this is fun,
honestly,
I'm going to go for it?
My family was super open-minded, like really, really, like I've kind of, grown up in a very open-minded family.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have that at all.
And you're always supported with your music?
Always supported, always. Like almost like, I've had to tell my mum to chill the bloody hell out sometimes.
Really?
Like, just chill out, man.
My mum is like my number one fan, like to the point where she'll annoy everyone.
That's what mums do.
Right?
I know. I love you, mum.
I've gone through stages where I don't tell my mum about auditions because I'm like...
She's like, how'd you go? How'd you go? And like, didn't get it.
Because I feel extra pressure, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Gotcha. But you know what? In saying that, I think everyone...
Because they love us so much.
Yeah. But when you
they
say...
just love us so much.
Yeah, totally. I think, but though, when you are growing up and someone says, oh, what do you want to do? And I remember as a kid, I'd say, I want to be a singer. And they'd go, oh yeah, but do you have any like a backup plan? And you'd be like... What, man? Like, that's all I know. That's what I'm good at. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. I think in general, I had that. People at school, belittling me for singing. People at,
really?
like.
You got belittled for singing?
Well, yeah, people hated me singing in primary school. They were like, shush, pipe down, Bonnie.
The girl that would sing all the time.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I was, yeah.
How did that affect you anyway? Or did you just go, you know what? Stuff you.
Of course it did. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Even in high school, because I was in year 7 when I did Australia's Got Talent. So I was just 12 and I had just come to this big school. It was a Catholic school and everyone, I actually expected to come back to school after winning, that people would be like cheering, like happy for me. It was so opposite to that. It was like,
oh wow.
I didn't even do singing at school. In high school,
stage dive at assemblies and everyone's going to be like,
I was expecting the works.
Wow, I did not expect that.
Yeah, I mean, people. Yeah, I remember this year 12 person. Like, keep in mind, year 12, nearly 18. I was 12. This guy playing basketball down the bottom courts, and he yelled out, "Australia's got no talent!" As this little girl walking with, I just remember, and I was just like, it broke me down. So many people kept saying things, and I was pretty strong-minded, but man, it just gets to you.
But that's Australia too. Like we
that's
talked
exactly
about
right.
Taylor, like going in with that really humble sort of vibe, and no one can snip that tall poppy because you're going in as this tiny poppy.
That's
but the moment you like
we
have great
being.
success, people are like, oh no, we can't have that. It's
pretty sad to be honest.
It's really sad. It's like, other cultures are about, like rising tides lift all boats and let's shine a light on a light that's already shining.
Absolutely.
And then Australian culture can be really like, let's dim that light because and it's just really schoolyard bullying tactics, I sort of
horrible.
feel. And it goes through all of society, all through life. It doesn't end at school. This sort of tactic of bringing someone down so that you can feel better about yourself. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it definitely made me sronger. It makes you more resilient, like that sort of stuff is... It's schoolyard bullying. I mean, it happens to anyone, no matter what. You kind of have, were you a little bit bullied at school? Or did you get any of that stuff?
No, I was amazing. No, I'm joking. Yeah, for sure. I was definitely a bit of an odd sort of child, I guess. Like,
I think we all are a little bit
Yeah,
of course,
artsy.
we're
We're all got a
all
little
weird,
weird
you know,
thing about
but
us.
Everyone is
Yeah.
weird. Everyone has their weird.
That's right. And
we
what's
spend
weird and what's normal?
Exactly. And we
Seriously?
actually, I think we spend a lot of time trying to be normal or work out, especially as
Fit in.
adolescents, fit in.
Follow,
and then
like-
you sort of learn to embrace your weird, as Ben Crow, the great mindset coach, says, embrace your weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I was saying, it definitely makes you stronger. Like, and as you grow older, you get like, you know what, stuff you. I don't care what you think. You've got to try and find your happiness and just kind of believe in yourself. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes,
Yep.
but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Talk
have your
yourself like
dad.
your own best friend, pretty
You
much.
have to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and some days aren't like that and some days are, you know. One day I might wake up and go, oh God, it's too hard, you know. But other days I'm like, yep, I've got this. Let's go. Let's do this, you know.
And on those days where it is a bit hard, because we all have them, what sort of, and you feel like that flame that's inside you that was once this sort of big burning fire has gone down to this like tiny little ember. How do you blow on that ember to get it to light up again?
What tools do we use?
Yeah, what tools do you use?
I guess like the
'Cause we all
magic
feel
word
that.
is action, right? So basically I'm someone who can easily let things just go because
Overwhelm you.
I'm a full-time musician. So it requires me the things that my two biggest weaknesses, but to make my career work, I've got to be organized and I have to be disciplined. So as soon as I'm not those things, I can just do that whenever, you know, I'll do that tomorrow or I'll leave this stuff. It's
Yeah.
like when I find I don't have structure, my life very quickly becomes chaotic and just in the most simplistic way that maybe the average person go,
Yeah, what sort of like doing the washing and the cleaning and getting back
you
to
know
emails?
what?
simple mundane
Exactly.
tasks,
They're
man,
the things you struggle with.
struggle with badly.
Really?
Give me something that's really intricate or that requires depth and thought and attention to detail. Oh, I'm curious. It's a challenge. But if I'm looking at my bedroom floor and there's like 3 jumpers on the ground, I don't know which one to start with. It's like
Have you always been like that?
oh, mate, it's horrible. I've
Wow.
realized I've definitely got something that's undiagnosed for sure.
Really?
What do you
Yeah,
mean, like
oh, yeah.
ADHD or something?
Oh, 100%.
I think I've got that too.
Yeah.
Have you guys spoken to people about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
I've just started.
Have you?
Really?
Yeah. I actually,
Speak
yeah.
to a psych or
No, I have a life coach that I now see. Yeah.
Can you give me the contact
Honestly,
details?
the best thing I've ever done. Because look, the same thing. I need structure in my life because I can, you can get so stuck in just like getting overwhelmed by social media or like, you know how you just you post things or you're trying to
Absolutely.
share your craft and like you just, if you're not getting anything back, you can get really overwhelmed with that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And it's like sickening. It's really sickening, the world that we live in. But I just need to be like, right, social media is like an hour. I do an hour a day or whatever. And then I go, do the washing, do the cooking, Bobby time, I have to have that. And then I have my life
so you
coach.
plan it all.
I do. Like in the morning, I kind of wake up, have my coffee, and I have a list. I'm a list girl.
Gotcha.
I've got to.
The to-do list.
The to-do list. And I write today
Hey, game
to-do list
changer.
with a line.
Game changer. If you do it the night before,
Yeah, right.
set it up. for the
you
next
wake
day.
up
Sometimes
relaxed
I
and
do
you're
that,
like,
but yeah.
that's what I need to do.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, sweet,
Yep.
I got it.
How am I going to win tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You honestly have to, mentally prepare yourself.
I love this. Like I sometimes do that. The night before, how am I going to win tomorrow? Going to
Great.
put out 3 to 5 things that I go, if I do these tomorrow, I'm definitely going to win the day.
Yeah. But the whole ADHD thing, I think it's been like a whole thing at the moment. Like a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are open about it. It's I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, just hearing about it. And I started to think, those things sound a little bit like me.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm watching them all. I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Yes.
I need to see someone immediately.
Have you seen a GP or have you seen
I was actually meant to go yesterday
Really?
to.
But you missed the appointment.
I couldn't organise
Not
it,
to
but-
sound sorry to cliche, but no, I didn't book it. So I'm yet to book it. But
Well, you're supposed to go say, but you hadn't actually booked it.
yeah, that's that. Yeah, If that's not ADHD, I don't know what is. All right.
So I just don't like, I don't like self-diagnosis, and I don't like Google diagnosis, because basically you move from, a sore toe to ADHD to immediately dying within the next 5 minutes. So Dr. Google is just terror waiting to happen. So I just like to go to a GP or a psych or or whoever it is that is a trained professional who can.
For sure.
Yeah, because we can talk about it all we like here, but none of us are trained to
Have you
diagnose.
ever felt like you have it or?
Not ADHD.
Gotcha.
No, I
You're
don't
too
have it.
organised. I mean, look at this place.
Yeah.
Look at this place.
Yeah, look
Like,
at
are
it.
you joking? Have you seen my room?
No,
This is
I've always
amazing.
been
You're very
good.
structured, I find.
Yeah, I'm really good with structure, and I've had to learn to let go of
Do
structure.
you do life coaching by any chance?
Yeah,
You
a
do?
bit of that sort of stuff.
Oh, do
yeah,
you?
Do you actually?
Yeah. Part of behind the mask is actually, people coming to me for help with,
wow.
with that sort of stuff.
Great. This is like your.
Yeah, but we're not moving into that now.
Oh my God.
It's about you
I've
guys.
come to you before, Josh. I've had to sort of dissect a script, or what was it, for a theatre show I was going for, and I was like, how do I read this music? Remember I called you that day and I was like, I have no idea. Funnily enough, I've been singing my whole life, but I don't know how to read music. I'm like, I listen, and that's the kind of thing I do, but I came to you that day and you helped me.
And you know what? You return the favour, because this is something I definitely want to talk to you about, Bonnie.
Yeah.
The other week, I'd been having lots of voice issues after a couple of injuries to the throat last year, and I couldn't work out what was going on. And I went to the ENT and the voice therapist, Deb Filand, and I finally got the diagnosis. I came out of the consulting room and I'm in tears, and there's Bonnie in reception, and she just gives me the biggest hug ever and the most. It's all going to be okay
special.
Hug, and it was thank you.
You're so welcome.
You know when you just really need a hug from someone you know. So I'm so glad you were there.
I'm giving him the big
Oh
bear
God,
hug.
it was such a beautiful relief. But obviously, you are also and have also been going through your vocal
been
stuff.
a tough year.
Yeah, tell me about what's happened with your voice and surgery and stuff.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of started probably a good year and a half ago. I don't think I've even talked to you about this, but
I have so many questions. But go on.
yeah, it's well, to be honest, I had no idea. I've just been powering through. I guess I'm a big, forceful singer, and I've always been kind of no fear,
Powerhouse.
Power. And I just power through.
She can't sing. That girl can sing.
Yeah.
She can sing.
It started to stop singing, so I
really, that's why it just didn't stop working.
Look, what was happening is I was losing my voice. Even just going out for dinner with mates, I was sort of feeling this tension, and then I'd have to really rest, go home, and I was like, this is so weird. Every gig I was doing, completely lose my voice afterwards.
The next day.
Even just directly after the show,
wow.
I was struggling to even sing the last few songs. Even my gigs last year, a few of them I'd say, sorry guys, I've just lost my voice. And it started to get really serious. And I thought, right, this is scary. I feel like I'm making excuses. What's happening? I had to go and see someone. So I went and saw Debbie, who we've both seen, and she looked down and there was 2 really, really juicy cysts. And they very juicy, thick.
We're not mucking around.
No.
Kind of thing. Yeah,
How is
No.
a cyst different to a nodule or a polyp?
I wish I knew, and I wish I could tell you, because I don't know. They said it wasn't a nodule.
Okay.
But I think they'd be
cyst
so.
is quite a because I got one on my side here that I need to get taken out.
Oh.
It's quite hard.
I wonder if it's the same internally, though. I don't
knows?
know. But anyway, let's not get into that, because I ain't no scientist here. But yeah, it was kind of scary. It was a moment where I thought, oh my God, do I get them taken off, and will I ever be able to sing again? Do I just keep going through this? It was just a real moment for me to go, whoa, I need to really look after myself a lot more. I think in terms of looking after myself with vocally, I'd be very obnoxiously loud, and I probably still do it a bit, but I'm a bit more cautious. When I talk, I'm very excited, and
Smashing the chords together.
Yeah, and I just didn't realize what I was doing. And, late nights, if I was ever out, even I'm not a big drinker or anything, but when I do go out and I have a few drinks, I'll yell and I'll sing,
So you're
and
just
I'll be
sort
on
of
the table
taking-
and dancing. I'm just obnoxiously loud.
Taking the voice for granted a bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got the surgery, which was so terrifying. And I had so many plans this year to do stuff, which I am still doing, which is great. But it's taken such a long time to recover. After the surgery, I wasn't able to speak for 5 days. And that was so hard with my, he was like, 13 months or something, my child, that Bobby was. And it was so hard. And it was like quite funny because I had my phone out, it was like an app and I'd type in things and try and be a part of the conversations. It was just awkward.
Was it hard for your partner too?
It was. Yeah. I think it was, yeah. My mum came and helped as well, which was lovely. But just all around, it was tough. And then after that, it's taken probably nearly 4 months for me to even be able to sing. I mean, I just went to LA and I just wrote my EP and I was planning to sing at that point. It should have been okay. And before I left, I kind of thought, this is not right. I cannot sing still. Like I can do certain things, but it's just not there. And it was like, I was so mentally drained and like I felt so lost, didn't know what was going to happen.
Were you scared it just wasn't ever going to come back?
So scared.
Like you've lost the quality of your voice. You're like, no, I'm trying to get there.
And we can
it's
talk
like
about
everything for us, right?
It's talk about the behind the mask thing and letting things go. But, a lot about the show is like, just letting everything go is almost impossible. Like we do attach ourselves to these things and our voice is such an intrinsic part of ourselves as singers to not have it is really scary. And
I didn't actually realize as well, like, we're an athlete. We're an athlete in regards to singing. Our vocal cords is a muscle that we need to look after so much because it's what we do every day.
Yeah.
And even speaking, I mean, jeepers, like, if you can't do that, God help me.
I know.
Now, do you feel like it's really on the mend?
I do. I've really put in the work now. I think I was very cautious in the beginning as well. Like, didn't speak a lot, and I was just so scared to do anything because I didn't want to hurt it. But now I'm starting to really get my voice back. I'm really doing the work. I'm seeing different coaches. And I'm learning a lot. I'm learning so much about my voice and different things that I wasn't able to do previously, which is crazy cool.
So you actually feel like your voice has got to a different
falsetto,
stage.
like my higher end falsetto is like so much more crisp and strong. Like it was pure air previously.
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So cool.
And has it changed your perspective about your voice and how much you appreciate it, how grateful you used that word earlier you are?
But also like I don't always have to sing hard. Yeah. That's something that I've learned that even when I'm writing music and writing melodies and things like that, I always like, because I could have sang up here. I don't need to always go up there.
Like save the gift.
Yeah.
Yes, save it. Like,
that's what my dad says to me as well. He's like, mate, like just, we know you can sing up there, but far out. Like,
my
tell
mum
the
says
story,
it too.
man. And I'm just like, oh yeah.
It's funny. Mum always says that. She's like, don't always sing so high.
Listen to your mum, guys.
Right?
All right? She knows what she's talking about.
Our parents know.
But holding the gold and finding other ways to communicate. Like, yes,
but telling the story is such a delicate thing,
And it's hard to tell the story like when you're 2 octaves above the stave, just like belting it out. And that ignites an emotion for people in some ways, but it's actually more powerful if we keep it and save it for that 1 or 2 glorious moments. When it's always up there, suddenly it's not impressive.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more.
And what about your journey though? Like, how did you feel with your throat? I know that it was overwhelming.
So I just had doing Les Mis in London last year. I got a blow to the throat in a rehearsal that cracked my thyroid.
A blow to the throat?
Yeah, like a forearm in a fight call.
Whoa.
Yeah,
what kind of Les Mis production is this?
Yeah, well, it was just an accident that you never want to happen, and it's never happened in the history of that production, apparently. But it happened, and it cracked the thyroid cartilage. So that's like, what covers the vocal cords. And apparently it's like, a centimetre or less away from like never singing again type thing. But yeah, it was pretty scary. But that was sort of cool after 6 weeks. I felt like I probably went back into doing, 6 or 7 shows a week too early.
Oh, wow.
I should have given myself a bit more time, but I just didn't speak up about that. And then right at the end of the production, I went surfing as a little getaway, and I wiped out, and my board came back and smacked me in the throat.
Right, that's what I remember you saying to me. That's right.
And so there was already some trauma there, so I was predisposed to things going wrong if I got another hit.
Oh.
So it affected the nerves, and I didn't really realise. It took a long time to realise exactly what was going on, but after about 4 months, we saw that, the left chord wasn't meeting the right in certain spots, and all they did was really simple, really easy procedure. They put a bit of filler in, and
Filler.
yeah, filler, like I was getting my lips done, but I was getting my cords done. And
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah,
was
it's a bit
thing.
of Bobo,
Top of the
bit of the
cords.
old bar. No, it wasn't Botox, something else. And it just thickens up the cords, and it stays in there for a fair while. But in that time, the nerves reset themselves and learn what to do. So,
Right, they
like
heal.
literally within 8 days, I was back to singing like I normally
Oh,
did
wow.
for the first time in like 7 or 8 months.
Oh,
and,
that's
right.
and it was
amazing.
just such relief. So
Relief.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm all about the science, all about the medicine. There are so many great people out there, but there's some who are really, really, really good at what they do. And Deb Filan's one of them. And,
So good.
And I wanted to really
If
speak
you
up
ever need
about
to see
it.
someone, Deb's the
Yeah.
gal.
So I'm
I
glad
might
we're
have
having this
seen her.
conversation.
Yeah, right. Probably have. Everyone has.
She's fantastic. I just think a lot of singers fear that, and when things are going wrong, they don't know what to do, or they're scared to talk about it. There's this sort of like, protection around
It's
the
like
voice,
this shame
but there's
as well.
shame about
Oh my
it, and I want to sort of be a part of ridding that
It's
shame.
even the fact that I was having surgery. I was so scared to even talk
about
about it on
Well, good
on a
you for doing
platform.
that, so
Why
thank
is
you.
that?
I don't know. I
think
think
there is
because
an
there's a
innate
lot
shame
of
of-
people that never did speak about it, and I thought, oh, am I not allowed to speak about this? It was like almost like maybe a shame thing. Like I don't even know how I did the damage, so I don't know. I just didn't know how to speak about it. But I thought, you know what, stuff it. I want people to know. I want to be able to share this story with people. But
Yeah.
also maybe being so scared of never being able to sing again.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that. I
Totally.
don't
it's
know.
like harder to talk about it, or maybe more courageous to talk about it while you're going through it
Yeah.
than post the success of it and being back to normal. And whatever your journey is and whenever you feel comfortable, but I just really want to talk about it while I was going through it. It's segment time.
Okay.
Ooh.
Go for it.
Segment time.
Yeah, everyone knows of quote of the day, but quote of your life is now the new thing thanks to this program. So I want to know a quote that brings meaning to your.
Can I get my phone out?
You can
'Cause
get your phone out.
It's kind of long.
Yeah, go, get
Not
it
like
out.
an essay.
So yeah, I just think the quotes play a
Do you
big
have
part
yours?
in. Do you have yours?
I'm going to let Bonnie go while I think of
Go
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think quotes play a huge part in us understanding the human condition
Yeah.
more. So yeah, a quote that resonates with you or
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just
makes
gonna- I
life
did
more
screenshot
meaningful
it,
for you.
but- Okay, it's just something like this. Okay, it's by William McRaven.
Oh, fancy.
If you want to make your bed if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another one. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made that you have made, and a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So for me, it's actually an amazing video. If you need to watch it, like everybody needs to see it. It's better
Have you
when
seen
you
that
see
video?
it. Have you
No.
seen
Haven't
it?
you?
No.
Yeah, of course I've seen it. Yeah, it's
Oh, it's
amazing.
But we'll
Honestly-
share it. We'll
Yeah.
share it on the
Just
back of this
share it.
episode. Yeah.
Oh, no, that probably
Here's
won't
the
work.
clip.
Oh, will it work? No.
To me, it just really resonated with me because it was like, you know what? The little simple things, it's like the 1% things for me that make me feel like I'm having a good day. Like, making my bed. I never leave the house without making the bed because it's just a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
So that just really resonated with me. I
Yeah,
love it.
I love that. And it
Yeah.
sort of harks back to that Kaizen theory, which is a Japanese theory about trying to be just 1% better
Yes.
each day. When,
I've read that
when we're
book.
going like for the extreme, like I really need to reach this goal. It's
Yeah,
got to be
yeah.
massive. It sometimes becomes too.
Is that
too,
the Atomic Habits?
Atomic Habits might refer to it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right.
But yeah, just 1%, just that
Yeah.
tiny little improve.
That's right.
It makes you feel so much better about yourself.
Absolutely.
Taylor?
It's such a silly one, but do you ever see Semi-Pro, the movie with Will Ferrell?
Yeah, iconic.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was so funny. There was always this thing, and there was ELE. He's always like, ELE, everybody love everybody. And all my friends it's always something that we do. Like, as soon as, because we also, when I'm not playing music or touring, we're always playing sport. I just play heaps of sport. And whenever there's like rivalry or something that's not right in basketball, it's like, oi, ELE. It's like, everybody love everybody. So
I
like,
love that you have a friendship group that says everybody love everybody, rather than what Bonnie had to deal with at high school. It's like
Hey, I've got good friends, but
now,
yeah,
but
that's
like,
good. I
but
know.
that's a beautiful thing. Hey, I want to we've sort of touched upon like just the rigors of performing life.
Yeah.
When you're in like, you've just recorded your EP, or when you're on your shows or touring and you're zigzagging between like promos and recordings and gigs and rehearsals and everything that comes with it, how do you guys go about finding some sort of slowing down, some calm, some balance in it all? What are your tools for that?
Me particularly, I've kind of learnt a little bit about meditation recently, and I really love that. And just breathing.
Yep.
Really? Do you do breath work?
I do, yeah.
I would love to give it a try.
It's I don't do it a lot, but I just do it if I'm having a moment where I'm just getting overwhelmed. I just take a few deep breaths.
And are you just feeling the emotion? Is that what's happening? Or are you kind of more...
It just calms me down and kind of makes me a little bit more present, and just to be able to see things a little bit more clearly. Because I feel like when we're just go, so much happening, I've got to, where's my child while I'm doing all this promo, while I'm overseas recording, and what time is it, blah, blah. It can get really overwhelming. Yeah, like, where's my child? I do know where he is.
That is overwhelming.
Well, that leads to another good quote. Yeah. Where am I? The answer is always here. What time is it? The answer is always now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's grounding, yeah.
That's really grounding. But how do you get back to that? Like breath work is...
is a really
I
think it's just trying to ground
because
yourself.
the breath is always happening. So.
And also just like put my phone away. Sometimes I just have to go, whoa, get that phone away from me. Like, just remind myself, because that's... if I'm getting like calls or emails and I just feel really overwhelmed, I'm like feeling overwhelmed, like scratching.
Yeah. Where's my phone? I need it. Yeah, I hear you.
But just simple things like that, and just going out and being with my kid.
How do you go getting rid of your phone though, honestly?
That's a good question.
Because I'm
actually
sometimes.
When I go, get away, it's hard, isn't it? What
really
is
hard.
This world, man?
It's really hard. I struggle with it too.
Yeah. But sometimes I go, put it away.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally pick it up again. I'm like scrolling. I'm like, whoa.
Why am I 20 minutes into a YouTube video? What happened?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I get down this rabbit hole?
I know.
I sometimes go for the Cody Waitman, who is a Western Bulldogs footballer. He came on the show and talked about how he goes for the walk with no phone.
Great. I love that.
Yeah. So I do that.
Idea.
Yeah, I do that from time to time. But then I bloody got the iWatch.
Oh.
And then it ding, ding, dings.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's better.
The
like,
iWatch?
Is that what it's called?
It's an Apple Watch.
Apple Watch. iWatch.
Come on,
I'm
mate.
38.
Keep up with the times, my
Apple
God.
Watch. The iWatch. I still call it an iWatch. Yeah. I'm still on, what is it?
MySpace?
MySpace. No, before
Top 10 friends.
ICQ. Yeah, you guys don't remember that one? Yeah.
No. I'm not there yet.
Calm down, Bonnie, all right?
But it's better than like being on a walk and scrolling through the gram while you're on a walk. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What are your little tips?
Well, I tell you what, the ones you're talking about are really interesting because it's like it's in the moment. It's like, okay, I'm feeling this now. What do I do? Whereas I think what comes to me straight away, like when I just need to, if I need to, because when you're being a creative person, when you're creative, it can be exhausting sometimes because you're using a side of your brain that is just when you're sitting in a room and you might be writing a song, like when you're constantly just trying to think of clever, creative, you need to do something polar opposite.
Yep.
Which is why I just love playing sport. So that's
sports?
Everything. So I'll play basketball like 8 times a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? 8 times
it's
a
like
week?
you're in a musical doing it 8 times a week, but it's basketball.
I play basketball Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I play
two separate matches.
So basically I played two nights, 2 games from Monday to Thursday.
Yep.
And every now and then I might not play one, and I play one on the Sunday, and then I'll play 2 volleyball games.
Really?
I'll play mixed netball as well. I'm
That's
just about
so cool.
You're really good with a ball.
I tell you what, you're right.
No double entendres.
Anything to do with feet, anything that's like soccer or like I'm out. But hand-eye coordination.
Hand-eye. Yeah.
It's like that's my thing. I think, and the reason why, like when I get there, like everyone just knows when they're like, oh yeah, Hendo's back again. You know what I mean? Because I'm always at each venue playing. And they just see, I basically know all the staff because they're always there. And they're like, when were you here yesterday? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm always here. Like,
And the day before.
So it's kind of how my week's work is. So basically from Monday to Thursday at night, I'll be playing sport. And then in the days, I'll be just whatever it is, getting back to all the admin, getting back to emails, organising travel expenses to, negotiating the deals, all sorts of things.
Are you doing all of that yourself?
At the moment, yes, I do have. I've got a small little team, so I've got a manager that I've only just sort of started working with.
Yep.
And he's wonderful. He's amazing, and I've got an assistant, an accountant as well, and so that's how we organise everything. But I'm definitely steering the ship. So and by all means, like, I don't know how to do half the stuff, but it's having that input and just trying it and taking action. Go, let's give it a crack. Yeah. Let's go for it. If it doesn't work, I always look back inwards. I'm never like, well, you didn't do that. It's like, I used to be like that. Something went wrong. I would
blame.
Yeah.
So rather than pointing outwards, you're pointing inwards now.
I used to, I was sort of like when I first came into this industry, I was like, I was humbly stubborn. Like I was a nice guy, but I was stubborn in the way that, why didn't this, like, I wasn't taking initiative. And I think like I said earlier on, like, my career started with just number one. Yeah. So when you soon realize that not everything you touch turns to gold, it's a nice slap in the face of reality. And so to answer your question, to like, what do I do to ground myself to like, those things are nice, but if I can, like, you're right. Like, I know it's funny. Like, might be good with a ball, like what you're saying, but for 1 hour, I just have to focus on getting this ball in that hoop. I don't have to worry about getting back to or chasing this money or organising this gig or worry, this gig isn't selling as many tickets or that one has sold. I've got to do this sponsored or endorsement deal or just everyday stuff. You might have to get your car fixed.
Yep.
I might have to. Meanwhile, you're looking for your child that you've lost. No, I'm not joking. But you know what I mean? So there's so many things that, like, where I think if I can distract myself from constantly worrying about being this person that has to be on and has to be, I've got to be, who are you? I'm a musician. Like, I'm my identity, So it's a really interesting concept actually sitting here. It's actually really good because behind it all, you're right, like, those things – I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I'm trying to.
Yeah, and I hear that. That's great.
So,
there's something you've brought up a couple of times, and that's that starting with success, starting at number one, and then where do you go from there? I know that for a lot of singers and songwriters, getting a label is like something you dream of. That's like the big dream, and whether it's in this country it's Warner or Universal or Sony, that's the aspiration.
Yeah.
I don't think what we talk about enough for artists is what happens when the label
let you go.
Let you go or drops you. Have you both experienced that?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's such an interesting question because there's some kind of security around the thought of when someone asks you, like, say it's been, a couple of years or something, and someone goes, how you get, you're still doing music? You're still doing music? It's like, I've been a full-time musician for over a decade. And so I totally understand their question. It's like I used to I went through all different phases of being offended by that or like, oh, they don't know. Or it's like, but I realized they're just asking questions because our jobs are so unique to the norm. And so when you get signed to a label, even if maybe in yourself, I need to be releasing, I need to actually be pushing myself, you would almost find the security in saying, because people would go, are you signed? You go, yeah, I'm signed to Sony. And you sort of go, oh, okay. So they don't question.
Oh, man, that's 100% the same.
Really?
Yes, I've always felt that. There's such a security in that.
Yeah, they don't question you anymore. They're like, I'm signed to Sony. Oh, you're fine there.
Security in terms of you're fine with your music, or security in terms of you're fine with your self-worth because you're with them?
Probably a bit of both. Just the fact that I am an artist. That's what I do. Yes.
Yeah.
And so when someone is constantly questioning you, like when they kind of go, are you still doing music? And you go, yeah. I just go, yeah, that's my full-time job. Done it for years. And they go, they needed to go deeper. So they're like, so you don't do anything else? You do anything else on the side? I go, no, that's all I do. That's what I – and they they're still puzzled. They still need to question. So as soon as a question would come up like, are you a Sony? I go, yep. They go, oh, okay. It's like, great. I don't have to worry about you questioning what I do right now. But when that's gone, I thought I'd be all right, but I definitely fell into a bit of a dark place. Not because I wasn't no longer with a label. It was more exactly what you said. It's more us knowing, how do I navigate this now? Because when you got signed, especially from those shows, and we lived in an era where, we're talking about how hard it is to be on our phone. Yeah. When we were on these shows, the hard thing is staying away from your TV. Like you'd get home, you wouldn't be like. I was on a show when the same year Instagram was developed. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like now you know.
I didn't have Instagram and all that stuff when I was on it.
Yeah, we're just like.
But what you're saying is also that humans have an innate desire to be distracted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I've waffled on from your actual question about 17 times. So it absolutely answers your question.
You know the funny thing is I actually can't remember. It's like I black things out that are a little darker at times. It's so funny because I'm trying to think.
Like getting dropped from the label.
Yeah, I was just trying to think how it actually went down. I'm like, I don't actually.
But does it also
think it really
didn't mind, or were you like?
I think there's other stuff going on, like for me, but I even like with management and things like that. I've just really like, I pride myself on just having people that I fully trust, that are transparent, that are good people. Because I feel like as a young girl, I was really surrounded by, like, I'm not going to say like, just people that weren't really my kind of people, or weren't on my.
Didn't feel safe. Was it not a safe space?
It just wasn't a nice environment to be around, So it was just, it was just
Were they
very.
taking advantage of your situation?
No, it was just confusing. I was just a young girl that was just super lost, and I was just getting pulled left, right, and centre. Where, it was just very confusing.
Hard to just be grounded in
what
do you want, because you don't know what you want.
Had no bloody idea, and that's where it was really hard for me. And I think everything that happened in my career, it's, it was just jumbled. I'd put out different songs, different genres, I had no idea.
Just working it all out.
And I think that's where it's kind of.
Because we're all
we're kids.
But in life, continually,
now,
we're still
we're trying to figure it out.
That's why we're having these conversations, because we're all working out. And when you said, we're talking about getting dropped from a label, but it's no. And you said, our life is really different from others. It isn't. People get dropped from or let go from great jobs or whatever, and then they're asking these questions as well. So there's an intertwining between
everyone's got interesting lives. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So do you feel like now not having a label and being?
I love it.
Yeah,
I personally love it.
And why do you love it?
Well, you going to answer that?
I'm very popular right now.
Your phone's been going off like crazy.
Jeez.
Oh, it's the label calling.
Oh God, they want to sign me.
She's back, baby. She's back.
I'm never going to close my. I'm always open arms to the right people though. If I had a label that I thought, that aligns with me and my work and everything, I would absolutely go there. But I'm just open now, and I know who I want to be as an artist.
It's a great way to be, because if you go into a conversation always being prepared, like as in always open to having your mind blown.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I totally hear, like, for a while it was definitely what you're saying is when you get dropped, because it's funny when you get signed, then we spend a portion of our career at the start.
Did you have that special pen, by the way? Was it a big deal and you had the
special
pen?
Yeah. Dennis, was there. Yeah.
We had a very special,
all there, everyone
Dennis
there.
Hanlon at
Yes.
Sony.
Yeah.
So it was, it was very, very serious. Like, everyone was there. Every time you released an album, there was a big launch party. It was very spectacular.
Up on the rooftop?
Rooftop, yeah. We'd have it in all sorts of, the other crazy thing about a label and the perks of it, this is the other thing that I literally went, a label is good, but you go, what do they do? There's so many things. Like, when I would get off a flight, I'm talking any flight in the country, I would have a driver waiting for me.
So good.
So if I had to,
That's very nice. It's bougie.
Yeah,
it
is bougie.
It's very bougie.
And they look after everything. Like, it's funny when you don't have these things. You're like, oh God, I've got to do all this. Like, this is hard. You know.
Yeah. So they're looking out for the organisation of things, but ultimately.
Yeah.
when you do and when you don't, you still get
Silver
from A to
platter.
B.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you just don't get it on a silver platter.
No, absolutely. That's the thing. Like when you sort of start off a bit early like this, you think, it's those
That's
dreams
how
of
it is.
being. You're like, oh, this is how my life's going to be,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you
Quite
realize, it's it's like what I said at the start when the veil of adolescence finally comes off. It's like I realized a lot later in my life, like just actually how challenging life is. I was very lucky. I mean, I worked hard, and but I was lucky. I was very fortunate. I was very grateful. I was blessed the way it fell into place.
I'm very talented.
I'm super talented.
But like,
But immediate success
yeah.
is very different to
Yeah.
success built over a number of
Yeah.
years where you're working for a decade to get to that point where you're having number one albums.
Correct.
You're seeing all the stuff along the way. You're seeing what it's like to organize everything. And then you go, now I'm getting a driver. And you go,
Yeah.
you've worked. When
It's
it happens
crazy.
straight away,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it's just must be a whole different.
But that's what
Crazy.
makes these shows really difficult because you get thrown right in the deep end. I
Yeah.
think that's where I had a little bit different because I kind of was like, no, I'm going to work,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just a crazy world.
I guess the difference for me is when I went on Australia's Got Talent back in 2010, I was 16, right? So when I came off the show, I was still in high school, right? And you totally understand, like, you're in high school, you're 7?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
7.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was
Like, oh my
baby.
gosh, I'm thinking, but I'm in year 10 or year 11, something like that. And like I guess I was still in school. I was still so young. I didn't have my own independence yet. So I couldn't really, I could have, but I didn't have the tools to do it, especially in the way my situation was, so it kind of was for fun, this kind of feeling of like people knew who you were. It was like, what the hell? Like, people would see me and go, is that old mate Hendo right there? You know what I mean? So they would, so that was fun. But when that started to slowly wear off, and I'm getting to now 20 years old, and I got some nice little gigs and stuff here and there when me and Dad would fly around and do something. And my school were really lovely. They were very pro the arts. So like,
that's great.
if I was like, guys, I've got a gig like a Friday night in Tasmania, they're like, I'd tell the school, and they were very lenient with me, like leaving earlier on those weeks because I'd always have gigs on weekends and then school, and then but anyway, when that kind of fizzled and. Not fizzled, but you know what I mean? You just know, okay, I actually need to provide people value. I can't just expect people are going to want to, see me. I have to,
all the time, yeah.
I have to give them something. And then when my mum, a few people were like, you should go on X Factor.
So was it a feeling of like, hey, this is wading away, or it's fizzling away a bit after 3 years since Australia's Got Talent? I need to go back on a show and no, it wasn't that.
So it's interesting because in a way, yes, that's some form of like, say if someone, I remember I've studied them. I would watch people of who would audition, who wouldn't audition, who would keep going back.
Yep.
Yeah,
sometimes when you'd see people keep going back for an audition and you'd sort of remember them, you'd be like, oh, that guy's back again. You know what I mean? It's like I would sort of, and there's one aspect where you go, good on you, mate. Like, that's great. Like, good on, but also, it also might be telling you something. Like, so I remember thinking, well, I didn't win the show, but I still had people that still were very invested in both me and my dad's. We just had you talk about they make a story, but we never went with a story. We just went as we were. We weren't sure if
How refreshing.
Yeah. We weren't sure what we wanted to do. We weren't sure if we wanted to be, a duo. We'd play in the kitchen, and sometimes we'd
so good.
venture off down to the lounge room. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't like we were performers. We're just going to give this a crack and see how we go. So then when that all happened, it was great, and we, people loved that. We end up versing each other during the show. So I would sing and then he would sing. We went as solo acts. But in the end,
they split you guys up.
Yeah. Split us up.
Crazy.
But then when it came to X Factor, I nearly didn't do it for exactly that reason, which is like, there's something about going on those shows that, yes, okay, you get a boost and you get thrown in the deep end, and that's all wonderful. But we can all, I think, dare I say, as society, when we watch those shows, there's a level of credibility that people subconsciously will think watching a show and go, oh, they've just gone on that show to whatever. It's people have, unless someone's worked their way up and then you're like, wow, who's this artist? I really like that. Something about those shows can, and this is I'm not saying it because I've been on those shows, I'm saying it in a way that I love what they did. Like I wouldn't be sitting here or doing what I did if it wasn't for those shows. But I nearly didn't go on it because I knew that if I did go on it, I had to beat where I came on the last show. I couldn't just go on and get kicked. It's like if I did it, I was going in to either win or come second. Like that was a subconscious goal that I said to myself.
And you came second, right?
I came second.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Congrats.
That's epic.
So
you're right though. There's pros and cons.
Yeah.
Great to get out there because it's bloody hard.
It is hard to get out.
It's hard,
It's funny. I don't even know if this is interesting or not. This is just how and it's for anyone watching this, I'd be I feel like I'm just rambling on about my life.
No,
I wonder if
it's
they'd actually
interesting.
it would be worthy for people. I wonder if they'd take away anything from this from someone who wants to be a musician.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And
So
those shows are still going on in their ways. Hey,
Yeah.
we've reflected a lot about what's happened in your lives. I want to look forward to 10 years from now.
okay.
What is the version of your life that goes, hey, you know what? I'm really contented with that. It's 2034 and this is what my life looks like.
Yeah,
As
it's
an
hard.
artist
Do you know
and as a
what? It's
human being.
crazy
Yeah.
to look that far in advance. I'm always kind of looking at goals in the near future.
Yeah,
And that is
I wouldn't call it a goal. Just put it out as just a dream, as a
Yeah, right.
hypothesis.
Gotcha. But I
living
hear,
in Italy on a with a beautiful view.
a yacht.
Got me a yacht there.
Trying to find
Honestly,
your
it's
child
just
in the-
family is everything for me. Like having my beautiful boy and hopefully, some more kids, my husband, and just continuing to be singing. Like hopefully I'm, traveling more around the world and doing shows. I mean, this is kind of almost like a new beginning for me, putting out my record very soon. So I'm very excited to share.
Yeah.
And you know what? People haven't heard me like this before, so it's going to be a new journey.
What's this?
It's
What's your
soul.
sound? Soul?
It's like
Can't
it's
wait to
me.
hear it.
It's how you've heard me. You guys know me, and people who have been to my shows. It's that, and it's just it's what I love and what I'm
Great.
meant to do.
Yeah, and you are very soulful, not just in sound, but in
absolutely.
human. There's a lot in your soul to share. So,
There's a lot of love
and
to
you're using
give.
the word share, which is one of my favorite words as artists. The more we share,
Yeah.
I think the better we are, the more we take the focus off ourselves and
Yeah.
onto who we're giving to, because it is a service-based
That's
industry
right,
that
yeah.
we're serving society with it.
So perfect because it's like when someone asked me, I was in a recording session, I was helping these students at a college and they were sort of asking this question of
Yeah.
they're nervous about getting on stage. And the one thing that I found was as soon as you make it about the audience and what you're saying is sharing, as soon as it's, I just make it about them and not about me, you instantly connect.
Yep.
Yeah.
As soon as you're the person that's like, you're here to see me, this is, not that you do that, but if you make it in whatever way, it might be just be making it very serious or making it, it's as soon as you involve them and connect with them.
You're
and
so good at that.
Yeah, you're very good at that.
Yes.
guys, please.
Come on.
And it's a great way to turn off
you
the
are.
inner critic.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
suddenly it's not self-focused. It's
Correct.
It's about them.
So if I hit a bung note or something like that, I just laugh it off and go, geez, that didn't sound good. All right. You know what I mean? It's like, and then
Totally.
they're with me a little bit because they're trying to figure out, can we engage or are we sitting back? They're not sure. You've got to.
Sometimes it's awkward for the crowd too because they're like, we're
Yeah.
just watching someone up
Yeah.
there. And as soon as you involve them, have a laugh, they're there.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's an invitation.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
to come and
showing.
Let's have a
come
party
to party with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy. We're here having a good time. You know what I mean? So,
So what does 10 years
Yeah.
away look like for you?
well, that's such a interesting question. I mean, it's how you've sort of answered it before. I agree. At the start, you said I'm kind of the guy that just wants to see a 90 days. I'll go 90 days and then 90
Yeah.
days, keep going, just win matches, play matches, win matches, play matches. But if I had to 10 years, in 10 years I'm going to be 41.
Yeah, whoa. I didn't think about the age.
So
And still looking good.
You know. So 10 years, I just want to be. It's not something that's outrageous. It's just I want to be content in myself. I want to, and be really sure of myself. I might have some kiddies by then. Yeah. Might have a girl by my side. We'll see how we go. But I think I really want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm just confident in myself and know that I can just provide. I just want to be able to provide value, be able to be there for people. Oh my gosh, this sounds so like
it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I think about my family, my dad, my mum. I want to be able to. Eventually, there's going to come a day where the people you love, the people that are closest to you, might not be here anymore, and I want to make sure that whenever that happens, I can actually be proud of what I've accomplished, and for them as well, so that when they're whatever it is in their old age, and they can look at their boy and go, I think we did all right with that one, Yeah. And then by then I'll be on the yacht with Bonnie or something like that.
Such a beautiful answer, mate.
Yeah, it's not. I think that's what's really important to me. Music's great. I love playing basketball. I love my friend, love my family. But if I can just, if I can really just provide for people and be something that is just, someone can come to me and go, I need your help with something. Can you help me? If I feel like I can do that and be confident in that, and I'm providing for people, I think I've done a good job.
Bravo, mate. That really is beautiful. And the reason why I asked you a question about 10 years from now, and I hope those listening ask the same question themselves, is because it's so far away, rather than going wild with our dreams, we come back to what's really, really important, and it doesn't shrink the dream, but it expands what's super important to us. Guys, beautiful answers, not just that one, but all through this episode. You guys have been incredible guests. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Bonnie and Taylor.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Josh. What an awesome podcast. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much, mate.
Lots of love.